You're listening to the Let Him Cook podcast, fueled by Cody Road and the Wild Rose Casino Suites and Studios. Nigel, my man, I'm sure along with a lot of Cyclone Nation, a bit of a sobering Sunday after that game on Saturday. Iowa State, of course, just had the one game this week, a close, heartbreaking loss to Baylor. Nonetheless, we push on. How was your week with only one Cyclone basketball game?
I put a lot of anticipation on Saturday, given just the overall slate. Like, I was like, this is a great day in college basketball. And then I can't watch Iowa State first without watching one of the greatest rivalries in college basketball in Duke, Carolina. And Dukies can't handle the 32-year-olds that are the Tar Heels right now. And,
that's an old team over there.
Man, dude, Cormac Ryan is the same age as Jason Tatum. Please let that sink in.
That's nuts.
He graduated with you, my guy. He graduated with you. Still in a Tar Heel uniform. I'm sick. Anywho, that happens, and then I'm like, all right, Iowa State, let's see if you guys can improve my mood. From the jump, no. Halftime, the first half, the only highlight I liked was the Keyshawn buzzer beater. That was cool.
Right.
But, then we hit this 20-0 run, and I'm like, let's go. Like, what's this? And then we all know how it ended. In the great words of Chris Paul, shit got bad real quick. And it was a bad weekend. To go 0-2 on a weekend with a slate like that, boy, it's like a kick in the nads. I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah, that's tough. My dad was saying, like, after that first half, he thought, we're probably going to lose, but at least it's like a stress-free loss. Like, you're not – Baylor's a ranked team. That's going to be a tough win on the road. Just not our night. We were down 10 most of the game, and you just kind of move on with your day. There's something about how we got that close that makes it hurt a little more. But let's start with the first half at least. And I want to shout out Keyshawn Gilbert. Started at 6 for 6, didn't miss from the floor, 19 points, and that extended into the second half a little bit. I think he was still perfect with about 15 minutes left in the second half and really kept Iowa State in it. And like you said, that buzzer beater going into halftime, I think that gives you something to work on at halftime. I think it's a little different than if he misses that and there's no positive momentum going into half.
Right.
I think there's something to that. But Baylor shooting better than 50% from three in the first half. I think they were 6 for 8 at halftime. Going to be tough to beat anyone when they're shooting. What is that? Wasn't a math major. I don't know what 6 divided by 8. 75%.
Yeah,
that was tough.
It's around there.
Struggle.
3/4.
Hope my math teacher isn't listening. But it's going to be tough when you. And they were open too. It's not like Baylor was making tough shots in that first half. It was just good ball movement, good rotation on offense. And I want to talk about this a little bit, and I'll toss it over to you, Nigel. I think Iowa State has this identity of being a great defensive team. And what I really want fans to look at, as soon as that team brings ball over half court, there's about 3 passes where Iowa State's going to try to trap really hard and force turnovers on like dribble handoffs or ball screens. And after that, if you really swing that ball around, Iowa State's defense starts to kind of chip away. It starts to deteriorate. You'll see guys having to rotate 2 to 3 guys on the opposite end of the ball. And that creates open looks. So if a team is able to handle the ball and not turn it over, and they're a good 3-point shooting team, that is Iowa State's Achilles heel. And we're still a great defensive team, but if we're not forcing turnovers, those 3-point shots are going to get open looks.
Yeah, and like we said before, I mean, you talk about Achilles heels for us. I think it goes back to 3-point shooting. Like, even Baylor, who's not – you don't look at them and like, that's a good 3-point shooting team. Like, that's BYU. No, that's not your initial thought when you look at Baylor. But when they have a BYU-type night like they did Saturday, it's kind of just the nature of the beast. And I feel like that is the Achilles heel at the end of the day of, look, blowing up, like you said, those first, second, third initial looks, especially on like DHOs and whatnot, like that takes a lot of effort. And you try to like go about that in a way of like, we're going to blow it up. We're also not trying to foul. So it also takes just a lot of mental fatigue, like right off the rip of the like possession, basically on defense. So you're already wasting a lot of fuel per se. And, if, like you said, if the other team is poised enough to handle that pressure and be able to knock down shots, Iowa State, I feel like maybe not so the coaching staff, but the players at times are kind of like, well, now what? Like we were aggressive and it's still not working. Do we pull off? Do we keep going or do we go harder? Like, I think just when a team gets hot, that is our Achilles heel, which is so nerve-wracking for the tournament because that's usually the difference maker, and that's all that it takes for your team to go home early or go home at all in a 6-game tournament that is the NCAA tournament. So,
and there was a couple other things about the first half that just they're fixable, unforced turnovers. I mean, like Rob Jones had, like I think he got a steal and then just passed it almost directly out of bounds, and Baylor was able to corral it. So just like silly mistakes, really, and that will put you down in this league 10 points really quick. And then the other thing I want to talk about, free throw shooting. And I get that your bigs on almost any team aren't going to be 80 or even 70% free throw shooters, but Tamin Lipsey has to be better from the charity stripe. He's 67% on the year and went 2 for 4 in the final 2 minutes at a time where points are at a premium. And if you're getting free throws, you got to make them, especially that late in the game. And let me look. I think we finished like 60% as a team from the free throw line. And in a game that's decided by 2 points, if you shoot 65% from the free throw line, it's a different final 2 minutes. It's a different game entirely. So it's little things, man. It's little things that add up to just kind of be too much at the end of the game. And it's little things that Iowa State really has to kind of focus on in practices and tighten up as we get through the rest of this Big 12 schedule.
Yeah, and like you said, like it's little things, and I think you're in a situation where your point guard isn't shooting well from the free throw line. I don't think that's acceptable for any team,
right?
But especially for a team like us, where certain things, and they're sometimes different every game, but certain things seem to kind of hold us back from reaching our full potential, or just getting over the hump and winning a game. But I think going forward, I mean, our schedule is not slowing down. Even the unranked teams in our conference are proving to be a lot for our ranked opponents. So it just, like you said, we're going to have to, fine tune some things, but I think we will, given the fact that, it's a quick turnaround, going to Austin, but I mean, you're staying in Texas during this weekend. So the travel isn't a lot. I think a huge portion into what played into Saturday was we played on Saturday, but we played late as hell.
Yeah.
Like I know Texas, I think Waco is Central Time. So you're not having any jet lag or whatnot, but I don't know if a team that just is really fueling off just natural energy, I don't know if playing that late is going to help them being off their feet that long is going to be beneficial for them. I feel like on a Saturday, TJ's teams, I know TJ's an early riser. He gets up at 5 a.m., starts doing chest workouts and whatnot. But I feel like that kind of same energy is with the team, and you're going to perform better, I guess, in an early game like Kansas, or like even I would say a 5 o'clock game isn't crazy on a Saturday, but it's definitely not 7 o'clock. So I feel like that definitely played into the slow start, because it's just you're getting taken out of your routine, and then someone's in their home floor, and they want to beat you because they're on paper we're better than them right now. So I mean, a lot of things went in our favor, but I mean it's a great learning experience, and I think they can take a lot from a game like this.
I think another thing I want to shout out, I was talking about Tamin Lipsey a little bit earlier, and this is a mix of coaching and just Tamin Lipsey's ability as a basketball player. But Baylor really tried to get us with a zone, it was hard to kind of track. It looked kind of in between a 2-3, a 1-3-1, a matchup zone. They were trying to just kind of throw the kitchen sink at Iowa State in terms of defense. And I think that probably would have worked better in the past 2 seasons, just because Iowa State didn't have that perimeter shooting that we do this year. But really what unlocked that zone that was giving Iowa State troubles in the first half, they moved Tamin Lipsey to kind of a high post and they were playing him as like a high-low playmaker, somewhere you would normally see a power forward, for example, on the elbow. And that really just opened. I mean, you have one of the best playmakers in the middle of that zone, and Taman Lipsey's able to read cuts and find the open and the weakness in that zone defense. And that was really what forced Baylor to go man-to-man down the stretch. And I think that benefited Iowa State. So that's just, I'm guessing that was a halftime adjustment. They saw a weakness there that they thought Lipsey could exploit, and he did. And that's just good coaching. That is, just playing to your players' strengths. And I think Baylor had to get away from that. And let's talk about, so like you said earlier, a 20-0 run. And I want to call it a quiet 20-0 run. When I was watching this game real time, it didn't feel like, man, Baylor hasn't scored in forever and Iowa State's on fire. It was
because we're away.
Right. It felt disjointed. I mean, it was a lot of free throws. And let's talk about the technicals and the officiating. And how I want to start this is, and it's something I picked up since Otz's first year, him and the players almost never, and I'm saying 98% of the time, I don't care how bad that call is, you'll hear Iowa State fans boo. You won't see TJ's reaction. You won't see the players make a reaction. Just stone cold. And
This is TJ. He's like,
yep.
Like, it could be the worst. Someone could slap his mother in the face, and he'll be like,
yep. Just on the sidelines. Just
I'm like, bro, show some passion. Where's the red hot chili pepper energy? Come on. But I need something.
Here's what it is. I think refs, and I think we saw it on full display Saturday, I don't think what Scott Drew did in that moment, and you can go back to like Bill Self or any of the coaches that have gotten technicals at Iowa State, and I'm not an official, but I would have to think it's kind of the additive result of this coach is yelling at me. 4 minutes later, he's yelling at me. 4 minutes later, he's yelling at me. He's out of the coaching box. He's still yelling at me. At some point, that adds up, and you're like, dude, shut up, technical foul. And Otz just doesn't do that. He doesn't even give the refs an opportunity to get annoyed or flustered. And refs are human. Let's face it. Like, things weigh on people. And I think Baylor just kind of did a little too much. It was Scott Drew's first ever ejection. And that kind of catapulted Iowa State back into this game. I think we got 6 free throws off of technical fouls. And 6 points in a 10-point game goes a long ways. And it was just a weird circumstance. As a Baylor fan, I would have been super pissed off. And credit to the fans in that new arena, because it did get loud in there down the stretch. But it was just a weird game. And I feel bad that officiating played that big of a part in kind of the second half. What did you take from those, especially those technical fouls called on Drew?
I think as much of like, yes, it had to do with, excuse me, my allergies are killing me. Yes, it had a lot to do with just like refs being human, but I also think like what played into the 20-point run is like when a head coach gets kicked out of a game, the entire dynamic of your team shifts because your entire coaching staff, from your head assistant to the last grad assistant, everyone takes a shift up in the totem pole, right? So that head assistant becomes head coach. He wasn't ready for that. Like he walked into Saturday thinking, I'm going to be the best head assistant I can be today. And that is it. And then God has other plans. So, I think just at the end of the day, that takes an adjustment of not less of like, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing, because he does. He pulled out a win. So I know Scott Drew's probably very proud of him for that. But the natural, like in real time, all right, how do we all adjust? They're making their run. They're taking advantage of this. How do we keep our composure and just play Baylor basketball? And I feel like they did that at a high level. And I think that's how they came out with the win. But at the end of the day, I think that plays more into it than just Scott Drew getting the technical fouls. The technical fouls, like, they're great for us. It's just free points. But to go on a 20-0 run, you can tell Baylor was just like, everyone was a little like, I don't know if the players weren't fully bought into everything the coach was saying initially. But again, the coach probably wasn't bought into everything he was saying initially, because everything was just so on the spot in the moment. But I think just going into what eclipsed to that 20-0 run. I think it's more so of the coaching change and just everyone just having to step up quite literally in a heat of the moment.
Also, 2 years ago, I believe Jerome Tang was the head assistant at Baylor until he got hired by Kansas State. So
won a national championship.
Right. And so there is a lot of talent in Scott Drew's coaching tree. I wasn't familiar with the guy that took over, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's a head coach at, like a UTSA or a North Texas in a couple of years, because that's just how good those guys are. And I think that coach did a hell of a job down the stretch. And for most Iowa State fans listening, you're going to focus on that Momcilovic shot. But I rewatched the game this morning and really paid attention to those final 4 minutes. So that 20-0 run put Iowa State up 7. And the one thing I do want to give credit to this Iowa State team, you're going to have to kill us. Like, if you mess around and don't, put a wooden stake in our hearts, this team's going to be in it in the final 4 minutes, do or die. And there's no quit in this team. And the way we play defense and the way we play forgiving basketball. And what I want to say about that, when I say forgiving basketball, I think Iowa State had 15 more shot attempts than Baylor did. And the way we turn other teams over and limit the other team shooting because they turned over before they can shoot it, just like from a statistical standpoint, it gives Iowa State an advantage to win games. So the longer that game goes and the more we play that basketball, Houston is a great team that does that same thing. You're going to have to kill this Iowa State team or they're going to be in this game.
Yeah.
But the final 4 minutes, I think, especially on the road and where we are in the season, I was just a little disappointed with how we came back into that game and just the execution in the final 4 minutes. You saw us turn it over, I think, 3 times in the final 4 minutes. You have Trey King fouling a three-point shooter. I was a little disappointed in I don't know if this is scheme, and I don't know if this is Gilbert and Lipsy, who are, 2 of our best offensive players. But a lot of the offense down the stretch is just get Lipsy or Gilbert going to the rim with their head down, not looking to pass, just like take it to the rim and either finish or get fouled. And I will say that was fairly productive. I mean, that is what happened most times. I think Gilbert had a missed layup, but other than that, Lipsy got fouled twice. But there was it was kind of constant. Another thing, Robert Jones got blocked and Keyshawn Gilbert got the offensive rebound, wasn't aware of the shot clock situation and just dribbled it basically until there was a violation.
That was bad.
So just like a couple like awareness things and execution things down the stretch. And I know it's easy to just go to the last second shot and be like, oh man, like the refs should have given us a full 2 seconds. If they give us 1/10 more of a second, Momcilovic probably gets that shot off. But in any sporting event, it's a lot more than just the last shot. Like there is a series of unfortunate events that put Iowa State in that situation. And I want fans to kind of look at the bigger picture here of Iowa State just didn't play their best basketball in the final 4 minutes. And I think that's really what lost us the game.
Yeah, no, I think that one of the biggest, like you said, the series of unfortunate events is what leads up to the loss at the end. But one of the biggest possessions that I was just like, bro, what are we doing? And like, is when Keyshawn just dribbled the ball out, and I was like, I would rather just you take a heave, like from the waist, quick release heave, like it just anything, man. Because like to be aware in this league, to be aware is to be alive. Because like that's just a game changing possession. If you do at least get a shot off, because who knows, as good of rebounders as we have on the team, even at the guard position, we can get a rebound and a whole new shot clock.
You hit the rim.
Wanted to.
Yeah, if you hit the rim, you have 20 more seconds to draw something up or to get something going.
Or just call a quick shot. Because, like, look, I know, like, Milan probably didn't have his most ideal game. But, you set him up for another shot in a situation like that. It could make or break, his vision on that game as opposed to, oh, this is just a game where I didn't get the game-winning shot off. It's, no, we played smart basketball. We got the best out of our possessions, and, we had to live with the result. But I feel like it's hard to live with this result when we know that yes, Baylor shot themselves in the foot, but then it's like we took the gun from them and shot ourselves in the foot, and now we're just bleeding out together, and it's awkward. So
I think another key play down the stretch there, and this seems like a play that would just bite Iowa State in the ass, and in this time it went in our favor. And they went to review it at the monitor. So Taman Lipsey, and what this reminds me of is that Texas Tech Virginia National Championship game with Jarrett Culver. But the ball goes out of bounds, and it was Taman Lipsey fouled Ray J. Dennis, got him on the arm, and that kind of unexpected contact forces the ball to go out of bounds off of Ray J. Dennis's hand. But you can only look at who did the ball go out of bounds on. You can't call like a retroactive foul on Taman Lipsey. And that basically gave Iowa State the ball back after a 3-second possession by Baylor, which is, I mean, basically the dream scenario for an offense in that, you have 2 minutes left, time is of the essence, and we basically got gifted a 3-second possession or 5-second possession by Baylor there. And then kind of let's talk about this Momcilovic shot. And we talked during the Houston game, and I think that's when it was clear that if there was a last-second shot opportunity, Momcilovic is the guy, and that's who you're going to draw it up for. And I watched this game with my friend Danny, and basically from the jump, before he even knew how much time was left, he said, hook and ladder. Like, that's what we got to do. Didn't even know where the ball was being inbounded from, but he's like, this is ultimate hook and ladder. And the explanation of why there was 1.2 seconds left. So Baylor is shooting an and-one free throw with 2 seconds left. He misses it. And Trey King smartly lets that ball bounce once before grabbing it because the time won't start until that ball is touched. It's not a live ball until someone touches it. So he's waiting for guards to kind of get a step to get downhill before he grabs it. And the shot clock operator starts the clock anticipating that Trey King's going to touch that ball. They look at the monitor. They said, so they blew the call dead at 0.5 seconds left in the game, I want to say. And 0.7 seconds ran off between the shot clock starting and Trey King touching it. So that's why they put it back to 1.2. Now, what makes sense to me is that shot clock that should have been blown dead as soon as that clock was started without Trey King stopping it. To me, it makes sense that we get 2 full seconds. Whatever. The benefit was that we inbounded on the sidelines, because I think people underestimate how hard it is to get a ball from under your basket to the other side of the court in 2 seconds. I mean, you
would need Grant Hill and Christian later.
Right. You need like an all-time game-ending play.
Yeah.
And so, and Momcilovic after the game, and I bookmarked this tweet, said something to the extent of, I wasn't aware that there was 1.2 seconds left. And to me, that sounds crazy. If I'm a coach, if I'm a player, I'm yelling, we have 1.2 seconds. We have 1.2 seconds. Like the whole time I'm on the court, like everybody has to know that. But I really don't know if it affects the outcome differently. Like, I don't know if you can really change your jump shot to make it 0.2 seconds faster. But what a disappointing end, because Momcilovic hits the crazy shot. It goes in. I'm usually pretty good at telling in real time, did he get it off in time? For whatever reason, I just blacked out. I just saw him get that shot up, and I was like, we just won, baby. I'm running around. Like, I thought we were home free, and it was the Baylor, and I hate when this happens. You can hear, the crowd react before you see the instant replay. And I heard the Baylor fans start cheering, and I was like, oh, he didn't get it off. He didn't get it off. Man, just a tough finish to that game. But if would you want anything differently? Is there anything you're drawing up differently in that last situation?
No. I mean, aside from that play, that's where I'm at. I think because of the way Milan shoots, I know how fast he can get it off, even though it looks awkward sometimes. Right. But you remember the 2014 Blazers and Rockets series that came down to Dame's first game winner in the playoffs? I feel like you just set a triple or double sideways stagger screen for him. And he just hits a fader leading into his own bench. It's probably the only thing else I would draw up. But I think that's probably the best like quick option, especially because where they were inbounding it literally at midcourt.
Yeah.
So that's probably a safer option because then it's like you're if you want him to shoot the Dame shot, you're basically essentially asking him to catch it on the run next to the sideline. All it's going to take is a Baylor double team to keep you there, and just turning around and hitting that shot is probably not ideal. But that's the only thing else I would probably draw up. And that's only if you were maybe a little closer to the basket. But given where they were on the court, I think it was the best possible thing to draw up. I think just like you said, the ball bouncing, I think 1.5 might save you.
I know.
1.5 might save you. Like, bro. And that's the problem like with the officials. I like TJ can be as quiet as he wants with officials, man. But like I just don't like Big 12 officials. I don't like that we're honoring them before games. It's corny. It's like giving a teacher, like, you know how we give gifts to teachers on Teacher Appreciation Week? It's like a really crappy teacher, and we're giving them like gift cards to Applebee's. Like, nah, bro, this guy deserves, a finger where the sun don't shine, and one of these. He doesn't deserve a gift card to Applebee's. And I'm just the Big 12 refs for years now have been very just like terrible to watch, and they determine so many games, especially when we get to league play. And man, enough is enough, dude. Like I'm sick of it, and I think like what is 0.3 seconds gonna hurt the ref to give us? If we make it, like, then we deserved it. Like, fate was on our side, and I feel like fate was on our side, but the refs weren't. And in this league, you're in this league long enough, you it doesn't even shock you at some points. You kind of desensitized to the bad officiating.
I have a long-standing rule, and I might as well call it the Buddy Hield rule because that's kind of where it started. Of if something happens and it's just cool enough, just let it happen. And why I call it the Buddy Hield
counts.
rule.
That was sick.
Right. Just say it's over. That was awesome. We're going to go home. We're going to pack it up. Buddy Hield hit, I think it was the semifinals in the Big 12 tournament, hit like a half quarter against Kansas.
Yeah.
And Buddy Hield jumped up on the scores table. They review it and he didn't get it off in time. If there's something cool enough, just let it happen, man. That was such an ugly, disjointed game. And for it to end on such a beautiful, drawn up, perfectly executed play, just 1/10 of a second too late, just let it happen. I don't even know how you instigate that rule because it's so subjective on what's cool enough. But there's just so many finishes in college basketball, NBA, anywhere you look, that some all-time moments. You think Gordon Hayward in the championship, he misses that shot. Just say it went in. There's just certain things where I wish we could just sorry, Duke. Retroactively, I wish things could work out the way that they almost did.
Yeah.
That's just what I want as a basketball fan.
Yeah, no, and I get that because it's you people, I feel like in sports love to entertain the what ifs because the what ifs are a lot more fun than the actual results sometimes. And I think in recent memory, the two what if moments that actually happened that you're just yo, what the hell just happened was Villanova's game winner against Carolina. First of all, hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah. With Michael Jordan in the building. Game, Chris Jenkins. Anywho, the second one, 3 years later, Toronto versus Philadelphia. Kawhi Leonard hits, bro. When I tell, first of all, it's so funny because I remember I spent the whole first half of that game illegally trying to stream it because I didn't have cable at the time. So I'm trying to illegally stream it. I get to watch the entire second half. I'm like, this is a great game, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Butler's playing out of his mind, and dude just hits a fadeaway into his own bench. Kind of like how I was thinking Milan, if you're going to draw it up, that's what makes the shot that much cooler is if a man is just posted by his bench already, just waiting for a game winner to go in. And with Kawhi, he was on his knees, just hoping and then it just dropped in. I was like, what just happened? Yeah. And then you see him just get kind of pushed away by a bunch of Raptor fans and the team. It's like those are a few moments where like the what ifs come to fruition. And like you said, like it comes to like, yeah, those are always going to be more fun. Those are always going to be more memorable. And I completely agree. Like here's the thing, the Big 12 refs are already bad. Like you said, if something cool happens, like what are you? Oh, now you're worried about your reputation? Come on, bro. We're past that. Call the game. Let the cool shit happen, please.
Yeah, there's like a certain rule I want. Like in the 1980s, that's how the game ends. Like they don't have instant replay, and there's no way a ref saw that in real time. They're just like they're saying that goes in, and we're getting out of here, and that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
and of course I want. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I had Iowa State pulled that win out. I had the funniest meme ready just in the drafts, ready to hit send. But have you seen? You've seen Spider-Man 3, right?
Like who's playing Spider-Man?
Toby, Spider-Man 3. 07, the OG.
Yep. Okay.
Do you remember? Original... You remember Eddie Brock? The Black Venom.
Is that Green Goblin?
No, you're thinking about Harry and Norman Osborn. I'm talking about Eddie. Peter Parker took his job at the Daily Bugle, like because Peter got fired. Then Eddie Brock took his job. Then Peter got it back, and then like tried to fight him and all that stuff. And then Brock got fired. Essentially, Peter's back to thrive, and he's living his own life. Brock is Catholic, and he goes into the church. It's like midnight, and he's like crying, and he's like looking at Jesus on the cross, and he's like, I come to you humiliated, Father, humbled, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I ask you to do one thing. And he looks up, and it's like just dramatic. It's beautiful cinema. Just looks up. He's like, I want you to kill Peter Parker. And I swear to God, that was going to be every Baylor fan talking about us going to chapel tomorrow. Yesterday. But, oh, man, it was, had you seen Spider-Man 3, you'd be like, that's good. That's great.
Milan Momcilovic would have been in a lot of prayers.
Sunday morning. I want you to kill Milan Momcilovic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Going back to this game, Iowa State went up in KenPom after this loss. And like in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this kicks Iowa State out of contention. We're a half game back of first place in the Big 12 right now. Kind of in a weird spot because I think we've played 8 Big 12 games and most teams have played 9 games because of our last week where we only played 1 game. So we'll be like a game and a half or a half game behind or ahead most teams for a little bit now until that catches up. But I really think you got to win at home. You got to beat – you don't have to, but I would really like to beat unranked teams on the road, your UCFs, your – West Virginia's, your Oklahoma States. But like you said, we've seen UCF. Like, that's not a fun place to play. And I wouldn't have guessed that going into this year. I thought, what kind of venue does UCF have in Orlando? But they've been a tough road game for a lot of these ranked teams. You saw Oklahoma State beat Kansas State.
Orlando, as a basketball city, is coming back. Because the Magic, they're back.
They're doing it.
They're back. They're back. So I think just the vibes are getting back to Dwight Howard level down there.
Yeah.
And I think we're out of the poverty stage for both UCF and the Orlando Magic. But I think the basketball was always intended to be good in Orlando, and for whatever reason it just wasn't because of the whole Dwight Howard setback. You're dealt with Elfrid Payton for a lot of years. I mean, you're just not going to play good basketball,
Right.
So and then UCF, I mean, since 2019, they've been decent. Like since that run they had in the tournament, like I think Johnny Dawkins is doing a great job recruiting. And now you got Mikey Williams coming to campus, which that'll be interesting. So I think you just don't get a break in this league, dude. It's insane.
Right. And now, like if you're a basketball player in Florida, which there are 4 stars and 5 stars just all over that state. And, now there's 4 Power 6 schools in Florida. You got Florida State, Florida, Miami, and UCF now. So, I mean, I'm not saying UCF is on the level of Florida, that's been a great basketball program. Miami's been great recently. But now if you want to play in the best conference in basketball and you want to stay in Florida, you'd go to UCF. So, like I said, there's just really nowhere to hide. But, Iowa State, I always think it's tough coming off of an emotional loss or an emotional win. And I think it doubles that now we have to play at Texas. You got to play Tyrese Hunter. But I was thinking about this roster, Nigel. I think only two guys would have only one guy played with him, and it's Rob Jones. And I think Trey King would have been there on the year he sat out. So he practiced with Tyrese Hunter. Right. So I don't know if it'll be the same amount of intensity, because I know like Gabe Kalsher wanted to play Texas more than any other team on that schedule. Like I know he had that circled.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we'll see.
I mean, you had multiple guys on that roster. You had Grill, Kalsher,
right?
Rob. Who else?
Trey King. I mean,
Trey King,
and then now
low key.
I think it also. Yeah,
I feel like there was some animosity that isn't talked about, but I think Tyrese felt a little. I think Tyrese maybe felt a little shaken. Like, why are you bringing someone in that is at my position? And then Taman's also like, well, I'm not just gonna back down. Like, if he's here, I'm coming at him. Pause.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you just had a lot of dudes just like trying to start crap with Texas, and I stand by this. Caleb Grill telling Rodney Terry to call a timeout.
Nasty.
Top 5 moment as a Cyclone. Top
That's
5.
One of the best.
Guys, I need that on a T-shirt ASAP. Yeah. Can someone make me one of those T-shirts, please? Please, any listeners, please. I need a T-shirt.
Looking back to the coach and be like, "You're gonna need timeout. Like this place is losing its damn
like
mind.
A suggestion, you might need one of your coach. Like, hey, buddy, I don't mean to be that guy, but you might want to use one of these.
Yeah. No, that game at Ames last year, still to me, is just one of the best atmospheres I've ever been in the college basketball game. I said it last week. Angry Hilton is the best Hilton. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it angrier than it was against Texas last year.
I think that was the birth of Angry Hilton. I had never seen Hilton that mad in my time there as a student.
Yeah, that was definitely the maddest I've ever seen it. I know going back and just speaking of officials, it's usually spurred by officiating. There's usually no bad blood going into a game. There was against Texas. There was a vendetta. There was a guy on the dartboard that we're throwing darts at pregame.
Yeah.
And the whole arena was ready for it. And it was just one of the most electric it was just awesome to watch.
It was like going to church.
Yeah.
And everyone just caught the Holy Ghost. And the Holy Ghost was Tyrese Hunter.
It was intense.
it was spiritual. I loved it.
And here's the thing, Rodney Terry, man, I will just never get over. I don't think a player has ever been targeted by the student section the way Tyrese Hunter was that night. I heard, the whole chants yelling, the whole student section's chanting F Tyrese Hunter. And students are going to be students. I'm not mad at them for doing it. What blows my mind is I think it might have been Rob Jones who flashed a horn. No, it was Oshuni flashed the horns down. And Rodney Terry, and we've seen him do it again already this year against UCF, went berserk. And it is so stupid to me.
Yeah, it's a trigger word.
That's where you draw the line. Like, you had your star point guard just, getting heat, catching more heat than any player ever has for 40 minutes, and you're drawing the line at a hand signal?
Yeah.
Dude, it's just the corniest thing. It's so lame. Like, what's the name of their, actual, Longhorn Bowl at Texas? Bevo?
I think
it's Bevo. He's not offended. He what the hell is he like? You know what I mean? It's not like a hate. Right. What are we doing here? It's so lame. It's so corny to me. I just had to tee off on that because nothing gets under my skin like him acting like that's some unreasonable crime against humanity.
Yeah. Well, and again, as much as I love to crap on Texas, there is one Texas Longhorn that is near and dear to my heart, and that's Scott Reister. So shout out to Scott Reister.
Yeah.
Great guy. Yeah, he's almost so cool that you don't even assume he goes to Texas. He's just like, oh, I didn't know we had to have beef today, but I guess we do.
Nonetheless, one of the good ones.
Yeah, he's one of the good Longhorns. But like you said, a lot of things are being said to Tyrese in that game, especially at the free throw line when Hilton is quiet, or like he's in the middle of getting a shot off and they quiet down. People would just be saying foul stuff, like things like personal things to Tyrese Hunter, and Rodney Terry's like, all right, this, no.
That's like where we draw the line.
That's where I have a problem with all of you.
So
and
dumb.
I'm like, Rodney, grow a pair. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't want to crap. We've done a lot of crapping on the brothers for the coaches in the Big 12 during Black History Month, which is crazy. Nonetheless, I did have the opportunity to talk to Rodney Terry when they were in Des Moines for the first round of the NCAA tournament. Really cool guy. I was like the last guy to talk to him. He still waited to talk to me. And he just really, like, when everyone is away out of the heat of the moment, I feel like these people are great people. So we're not trying to attack these people personally, because the interactions that I've had with people that I thought I would hate have been very positive. Dylan Dessou, Tyrese Hunter, what's his name? Kevin Allen. I mean, all those guys are great guys. Like, when it's just mano y mano, but you have the cardinal and gold on. It's like giving you a cape. You feel like a superhero. You feel like something needs to be done, but again, to get back to my original point, I just feel like there's so many other things to be mad about. Why horns down is their little trigger word. Grow up, dude.
Makes no sense.
Because guess what? The more you make it obvious, we're just going to keep doing it.
Right. Yeah. A great way to make college students do something is tell them not to do it.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate motivation. The other thing, if he would have gone up in the post-game press conference and just stuck up for Tyrese Hunter and been like, that was unacceptable, that's my point guard, I'd respect that at least. Like, just standing up for your guys. I don't think that's ever been a bad move by any coach ever. But again, it was a horns down thing that he just hammered down. I was like, dude, shut up, man. It was just whatever. So, like you said, I want to talk about this past weekend in college sports because it kind of under-delivered. Like, I was like, this slate, going into it, I really liked where it was. Yeah, Duke, North Carolina, which...
Well, before you get into that game, you know what this was? This would have been a fantastic week to win this game, but it was a great week to drop an egg.
Why?
No, I said it was a great week to drop an egg.
Oh,
I got you. Because so many other teams lost.
Right. No, you're right. Wisconsin lost to Purdue. Houston got blown out by Kansas. Man, it looks like anytime Houston goes to a real gym, they just forget how to play basketball. Like, they showed up at Hilton, got bounced. Showed up at Allen Fieldhouse, got bounced.
Kansas be cheating. So, at Allen Fieldhouse, but that's another conversation for another day. But
there we go. And then Tennessee beats Kentucky. I don't really know if to take Kentucky serious or not. Tennessee always chokes in March. The SEC's weird.
Tennessee's a team that I can't get behind because every one of the team is 30. Everyone has their weaknesses, and it's just like they'll play really well against a young Kentucky team every year. And it's like, okay, do you want a cookie? These kids are 19.
They're get beat in the second round because that's what they always do as a 2-seed or whatever. Rick Barnes, man, just not Mr. March. Yeah. There's something about that month that he had it at Texas, and now he does it at Tennessee. But I don't know. I was just a little Drake, Indiana State, quietly a really good game. That was on right before Iowa State played Baylor. But just didn't really hit like I wanted it to. And I think so many, like on paper, great matchups, kind of up and down, but just not a lot of great games. So I was just a little underwhelmed, I would say, with the outcome of this weekend.
Yeah, I think Texas played really well against TCU. I saw that game earlier the day. Oklahoma State steals one from Kansas State.
Yeah. Cheaters, probably.
Yeah, I mean.
Probably Oklahoma State. Man.
I mean, I just feel like Kansas State, man,
we broke them. Iowa State broke Kansas State.
I think it's time to go to lunch in the Jewish community because they need some juju. They need some good juju. They need something, man.
Something.
They're in the trenches.
They're in the trenches. Tremendously. Iowa State has Texas tomorrow and then TCU on Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
Double check that.
And again, in recent years, we have not played well in Austin. So
yeah,
this is this game is a lot more about pride than it is about Tyrese Hunter this year, I would say.
And I would say going into the stretch, I thought if we went 1-1 between at Baylor and at Texas, that's a huge win.
The thought of like you could be 2-0.
Yeah.
Like that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
But that's Big 12 basketball, man. It sucks. But damn it, I love it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No
breaks. It's like an abusive relationship.
There is absolutely no breaks. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ranked teams as of now. There could be another one added in there if UCF keeps winning or if Cincinnati keeps winning.
We got to go to Houston.
At Houston.
Good night.
We finish at Kansas State, which will be a rowdy atmosphere.
They're going to want our heads.
There's no hiding in the Big 12. I think Iowa State currently third in the Big 12. But a lot of games left to go. I think Houston's still the odds-on favorite to win the conference, but we just saw them lose at Kansas, and I really think that team's going to struggle on the road in good environments. So we'll see, man. Iowa State definitely not out of it. A tough loss against Baylor. A big chance to get a huge win at Texas. I know the guys are going to get up for that one. I really wish Texas had to come to Hilton this year because I think you would see a similar crowd to what you saw last year. So that's what sucks about this no more round robin. You play each team twice because I would love to see Texas at Hilton this year, but we move on.
I do like getting a chance to sweep TCU.
Yeah.
Because TCU, I know they're probably going to go unranked after this week, losing to Texas, but I think they're also one of those teams that's always going to be like right there to where, who knows, maybe next week they might be ranked again. But I think I like the idea of sweeping a TCU team because that's not a bad team at all. And then also I love the idea of getting both Oklahoma and BYU at home again because like those are just man, those boys are in trouble.
Unfinished business. And I think Texas Tech at home, Texas Tech's a really good team. I think Grant McCaslin is that guy. Like I think he was a really good hire for Tech. Joe Toussaint somehow still playing basketball. I think he's played Iowa State 17 times in his career between Iowa, West Virginia, and now Texas Tech. So, man, a lot of good games left. We're about halfway through the Big 12 season, though, and Iowa State not really slowing down. So, nothing to hang your heads on about a loss at Baylor. I think we just have to take care home. We got to win at Hilton, man, because I think that's going to go a long way for this team.
Yeah. I just don't want us to turn into Houston, too, where it's like our struggle in kryptonite is on the road and three-point shooting because I hate to break it to everybody, but that's where the NCAA tournament's going to be. It's going to be on the road. And there's going to be a lot of good three-point shooting teams. So
Yeah, it only takes one. But the other thing is if our matchups are right and it's teams that want to try to get to the rim, Iowa State can make a deep run. I think – and it's always about matchups in March, but this team is just so matchup dependent, and we really won't know this team's ceiling in March until we see that bracket because I think it so much depends on whoever we're playing. That some really good teams we can beat by 15, and we could lose to an Indiana State by 14 if they're shooting 70% from three. So
well, and like the ranked opponents, dude, I know people are like, oh, like those don't matter. Like the rankings don't matter. They're subjective. But like when it comes to seeding, it does.
Yeah.
So like I just feel like that is going to make or break like our ceiling, like you said, of what type of run we're going to have. Because you could just run into an awkward team like Pitt last year.
Right.
And you just come out flat and then it's not the same team. And then boom, season's over. So definitely. Again, like you said, defending home court is very important. You have two games in this gauntlet, especially Texas Tech. So 3 that I would say like are must wins. And I think playing Texas Tech, like I said earlier, at 11 a.m., I like that a lot more than playing Baylor at 7 p.m. Because TJ does his arm workouts, and everyone's ready. Conrad is screaming.
Gifts to the gym.
Yeah, everyone is just juiced.
Yeah.
Turn off your Motley Crue.
Before we get out of here, gonna need a Super Bowl prediction. This is bad radio, but I have a T-shirt on here. It's got to be that Ames tap water.
Bro, can you give me one of those shirts?
But I got a tweet that went kind of semi-viral in a T-shirt company out of West Des Moines. Basically, put my tweet on a T-shirt. So that's breaking new ground for myself. Had to go get one. But what
I will pay you if you get me one of those. I'm not kidding.
I can probably make that happen.
Thank you.
Do we have a score prediction for the big game, just so I don't get sued by the NFL by that trademark?
Yeah, I would say San Francisco 27, Kansas City 21.
Like it. Love it. I just want Purdy to win, man. This is the most tuned in I've probably been to a Super Bowl in maybe my whole life. I've never really had a rooting interest in a Super Bowl until this year.
Here's the thing. I always have an interest in the Super Bowl because of the pageantry that it brings out.
Yeah.
The commercials, the ability to toss on a jersey, the halftime show, Rihanna.
Sure.
Obvious reasons. But, Usher, going to be a great halftime show performance. I need Purdy to win, not only for Iowa State purposes, for a huge reason. And the second reason is being Taylor Swift. I'm sick of that woman. Of that woman. Never seen the hype, never will. I understand that, for a lot of Caucasian people, she's the people's champ. That's okay. Everyone needs someone to idolize and to identify with and show that is the ideal person to be in society. But I'm tired of her. I'm tired of every little curl route that Kelsey gets. We're panning over to her. And then there's geeks on Twitter being like, actually, she was only on screen for 40 seconds. And it's like, I don't care. That's too long. She's not in the game. She's not strapping on a helmet. She's not taking reads. She's not catching slant passes. I'm tired of her.
Sure.
Okay? And she's taking someone that I love, Travis Kelce. He is invited. You talk about a man who was invited to the cookout. It is Travis Kelce. He has a boozy fade. I mean, the guy is just he's about that action, and he's taking. I get it. If I had the chance to date Taylor Swift, I'd hop on the opportunity too. I get it. But this whole phenomenon and this PR, I just feel like it's one big PR charade. And what's this? The Grammys just happened last night. She's dropping an album. What? That's such a big coincidence. Like, do people not see this? I know Aiden's gonna edit all this and he's probably not even gonna let this air.
This might get cut out.
But the gospel needs to be spoken, and the revolution in this case will be televised. And I'm praying for the downfall of Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a damn shame because I like Mahomes and I like Travis Kelce. I even like Andy Reid.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So it's man, enough is enough. Brock Purdy, just put the sphere right in her heart.
Yeah,
it needs to be done because I've seen enough. This football season has been borderline unbearable with that whole phenomenon.
I saw a tweet that said the 49ers need to run out to Famous by Kanye West. Wouldn't be mad about it.
I think if the Chiefs win, I think Debo, McCaffrey, anybody on the
get that going in the locker room.
They need to during like the stage presentation of the trophy. Taylor Swift's going to be on stage with Travis. It's going to be this big IG moment for them. And someone from the 49ers guys might be like, I'm going to let y'all finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Brock Purdy had the greatest game of all time. And then he's just going to walk off.
That would be my Super Bowl.
Yeah. That would be equivalent to a win. That would be equivalent to a win, without a doubt. But, I'm pushing for the Niners. I think they're the better overall. They're the more talented team. I think this is like the 2020 rematch, obviously, but where the Chiefs were the more talented team 3 years ago, I think it's the complete opposite this year. So I think the 49ers just need to play their brand of football. and I think they'll do just fine. So I'm excited. It's gonna be a great game. But yeah, I got a 6-point win from the good old 49ers.
Yeah, give me a Super Bowl game manager a win for my guy Brock Purdy, and stop the damn hate.
Yeah,
I'm so sick of that.
Yeah, it's like everyone loves Taylor Swift, but everyone hates Brock Purdy. What world do we live in? I'm sick of this.
Sense, man. Make it make sense. All right, Nigel, any final shots, maybe at Taylor Swift, maybe at Texas, anything you got before we get out of here?
I just think the jig is up.
Yeah.
The jig is up. That's all I got to say.
I got one shout out here to Matt Nelson. We are winning at Texas. That's an inside joke, and that gets a lot of play in certain group chats. We are winning at Texas. All right. We're out of here. Go Clones. Let's win a Super Bowl, and let's win at Texas. Let's cook.